First of all, I'd like to ask you, does anyone say you look like Jesus? Yeah, and your mush, I think, is very appealing. Yeah, so like maybe Lama Rangpa is requesting me to give few advice to practitioners here. So the most important part that all the practitioner has to remember is when to practice and when to apply the practice. So most of the practitioner fails when they actually have to apply the practice in reality. But through visualization, through practice, many don't. But in actual, when you actually have to apply it, many does fail. Not just the practitioner, even there's lots of practitioners who've been practicing for years. Also, they can't actually apply the practice in reality. So now how to differentiate between practice and applying the practice? And this modern time, many people believe and say that we don't have time to practice. Because now one struggling between practice and their daily life and their work, one can say. So that's why we think like we don't have enough time to practice. So how many hours do we actually have time to practice? One can ask oneself. Maybe if you get up early if you're an early bird, maybe from 7 to 8 or 5 to 6, depending on your own schedule, how early you can rise. So you feel like, okay, example, you get up around 5 to 6, 7, 2 hours you get to practice whatever you're practicing. Can be just a preliminary practice, or can be whatever chanting of mantras or whatever you're doing. So you have like around 2-3 hours of practice in the morning. And you actually will feel good. You're in your own shrine room, you're practicing, you're lightening up, is that a correct word? Lighting up?
Lighting incense.
Lighting incense, right? You're lighting incense of your own favor, your own, whichever incense you like. You're lighting up incense. Maybe also in the background you're playing some very soothing music, relaxing music, one can say, from YouTube. So you're sitting down in your shrine room, looking at the statues or whatever you have in your shrine room, and you're chanting your mantras, or you're chanting or your whatever practice you regularly you do in the morning. You feel good. You feel like now you've actually felt like feel, or you actually will feel. I think that's the right way to say. Like you have practice, and everything is very soothing. You're in your own, how to say, comfort zone in the shrine room. You're practicing. Everything looks like it's going according to your practice and your practice. Then after 1 hour or 2 hours, your practice finishes. Now you have to come out of your shrine room. Now you have to wash your face, or maybe some people wash their face before, but many will follow up after that. You've washed your face, freshen up, wear your clothes, eat your whatever you have to do, normal thing. Then you start your day. Now you only have, like in a day, if there's 12 hours, you only have 2 hours to practice. You have 10 hours of hush reality. So the moment you come out of your shrine room, your comfort zone, now you're going to the work, you're going to office, you're going to wherever you're going, wherever your work requires you to be. So you're driving in a car, you're going, and you're in a highway, and someone overtaking you, or someone driving slow, you're getting angry, you're flipping them off, you're shouting, you're screaming, you reach your office, and you're having a boss who always nags you, irritates you, you have a colleague who you don't get along with. So now you have like 10 hours of that drama, one can say. In your life, 2 hours of peace, of practice, and 10 hours of drama. So now, that's where you actually apply your practice in action. It's in the 10 hour of your Dharma life. Just sitting down in your shrine room, isolating from the whole world, and it doesn't mean you're practicing. Practice itself defines itself. It's a practice, not a real deal. That's what it itself defines itself. Practice. Perhaps, for example, if you are sending an army, if you're in a battle, if you're in a war, one can say, if you want to send your army to a battle, you can't just gather all the men, every man you just gather. I'm not being feminine, how to say, not feminist, what do you call it? Sexist. Yeah. But in battle, usually only men goes there. But nowadays it's also, in the olden days, what I'm saying, when you actually have physically with a sword and you have to go face to face, head on, that time mainly men was in the war. So that's why I'm saying most of the men, they recruit all men. So when the war country or when the kingdom is in a war, one can recruit all the men of the country and send them to war without any preparation, without any training, without any even introduction of how to say tactic of war, or even a practice of how to have a sword fight, how to have sword fight. I mean. So even though you have like 1,000 or even 10,000 men without well trained, just because of manpower, you send them to battle. So even a small army of 100 or even 1,000 can defeat the 10,000 army of not well trained, not even trained. So before you send them to war, what do? You train them. You train them how to war. You train them how to fight. Then you send them to battle. Then you will win the battle, no matter how strong is the force of opposite. If you still have a well-trained soldiers, you can win the battle. Even the oddest looks very slim on your side. Similar to that, now 2 hours in the morning when you sit and you chant, that will be your practice to go to a war. That is not actually real war. That is just preparation, a practice. So when you enter the real war, you'll be aware, you know what to do, what not to do. So that's why 2 hours we have to remind ourselves. 2 hours we practice. What do we practice? For 2 hours now, perhaps. We practice in order, example, the basic, most important foundation of all the practice. We practice to be compassion. The compassion is the key of all, a backbone one can also say, a foundation one can say, for all the practice for future, all the heavy load of practice for future, what we will practice. So that's why compassion is the essence of Buddha's teaching. So that's why for 2 hours we remind ourselves to be compassionate, we remind ourselves to be kind, we remind ourselves to be pure, we remind ourselves to see through all the delusion or see all the phenomena our mind actually creates, or negatively, to see everything positive. That's called Dakpinawa, to see pure vision. Everything you should learn to see pure. So that for 2 hours we practice that. So we can actually apply in our 10 hours of our Dharma, of our daily life. So that's why we should all, that when you actually think that way, we never have time. So we say we don't have enough time to practice. We have so much time to practice. We have 10 hours of time to apply the practice in action. That's the real deal. So that's why that's the most important part one has to, for a practitioner. Some people think like just sitting down whole day, if you can spend in your room, then you are practicing well. Yes, perhaps you are, but you are not actually doing the real, you're not actually applying the practice in action. You can only apply the practice in action when you actually feel physical physical or mental stress. When the world try to push you to the corner, to your edge of your, all your emotion about to explode into pieces. So that's the time your practice will come in handy. How to handle your emotion, how to handle the situation with compassion. So that's the most important part everyone should remember. 2 hours of practice, awareness, awareing yourself in order to apply in the 10 hour of your life, then you're doing something right. And in order to that, so many people of you may already have your own guru or your own teacher that you follow. So that's all you have to do. You only have to follow your guru's or your teacher's instruction, and that you have to see that as a practice, one can say. Your guru or your teacher will teach you whatever with their own skillful means, according to your students' own students, how to say, level of understanding. The guru will give you some tasks, or your guru will give you some teaching to practice. So you just have to follow that. You just have to practice that, and you're actually doing something. You're actually in the path, in following the path. Some people are not in the path. It's on the path, right?
On the path.
On the path. Sorry. Yeah. Most of people is on the path, but they just lay on the path, Only laying on the path. Maybe maybe they feel their guru or teacher will drag from their leg to the enlightenment, or they feel if they're lazy enough, roll themselves to enlightenment. They just lay on the path. So it's very important to realize that are you just on the path, or you're just laying on the path, or you're actually walking on the path. So that's the very important part everyone has to remember. So in order to do that, one will only know when you meet your guru, when they give you teaching, whatever they from their skillful way, and you follow that teaching, and you make sure you actually you actually apply the teaching in your life daily. So you're actually walking on the path. Then again, a path through enlightenment, also called recognizing the true nature of your mind, is not a short journey. It is a very, very long journey. Some people may feel like you're not achieving it. You are not able to achieve it. Or some people, maybe you will be disappointed in your dying bed that you've been practicing for so long, but still yet that you couldn't actually recognize the true nature of your mind or recognize the Buddha in you. So many people may feel disappointed. But you don't have to. Because the path to enlightenment is not a short journey. It is a very, very long journey. Even the Buddha himself took 500 lifetimes of lower rebirth and 500 lifetimes of higher rebirth in order to attain enlightenment. So it clearly shows that it is a very long path, a very long journey. So even in this life, if we are not able to recognize the true nature of our mind, but not to feel worried, as long as you're on the path, you're actually walking on the path. Even though this life you couldn't achieve, so-called by Vajrayana tradition, also in Buddhism tradition, we believe in next rebirth. So you may shorten your journey by a day or a year, or by maybe 100 years, depending how you practice. So you'll shorten your journey, so your next life will continue your journey. So that's why it's very important things to realize. That's why this will only happen if you're in the right path, if you're following the path, walking on the path, not just lying on the path. Then even your 100 rebirth, 1000 rebirth, you'll still be just hanging there, not reaching anywhere, but hoping to reach somewhere. But in reality, we're just lying on the path. So that's also one of the most important things all the practitioner to realize and to understand and to analyze yourself. Are you just walking? Are you just lying on the path? Or are you actually doing something, walking forward on the path that only a practitioner themselves can analyze and understand? So that's also one of the most important things to remember. So I think for now, today, I think that'll be it for my short word of advice, one can say. So, and I hope and pray for all of you for not to have obstacles and to achieve your dharma goal according to your own desire.
Thank you. Please come again and again and again to this place.